Good.
All right, Coach, getting ready for another season. A little bit more than 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
How excited are you for it?
It's exciting. I mean, every time this part of the year, like, things start to happen really quick, and there's just certain things that come along that you realize, like, man, it's here. Whether it's starting team practice last week, or obviously Fan Fest coming up. Always softball goes a week before us, so they start putting out a lot of stuff on social media about them being a week away, which means we're two. So just a lot of things that happen that you really just start to really sink in that, man, we're here. And it's funny how slow June to November really goes, and then like in a blink of an eye, you're here in February. So, but the guys have been doing a great job. Practices have been great. Like, obviously I have a good group of older guys that really leading the way, and it's just exciting to have that kind of leadership in terms of age and experience, and just this is a good group, and I'm really excited to go watch them compete, and really excited about the guys that we have in the locker room.
What are your expectations for this season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to put expectations on anything. You're just really trying to go out and compete. I do believe in this group. I believe in their, like I said, their experience, the amount of work that they put in, their preparation, which just really, really excites me. I think that having this type of, our 2, 3, 4 hitters are all going to be 23 years old. Like, that's just a huge plus. That have been through the ringer, that have been through the ups and downs, and so to have that kind of leadership, I think, from both sides, really gives me a lot of excitement about the season. But at the end of the day, like, they also know that you just never know what tomorrow brings, and whether they've been through COVID, whether they've been through all the injuries, like, I think our expectations are just to go out and compete and show everybody what we think we are, and what we're made of, and just to do that on a consistent basis.
The impending move to the Big 12, how do you think that's impacted recruiting? When the Big 12 playing that meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously helped tremendously. Again, I think I've talked about it for the last 7 years I've been here, that the American just doesn't get the amount of respect that I feel like it deserves from a baseball standpoint. But I do think, obviously, that being in a Power 5 and being in the Big 12 and a conference that powerful in terms of baseball, that it definitely has brought us a lot of wins in the recruiting battles that we probably didn't get in the first, my first few years. So it's definitely been an uptick, just whether it's through the transfer portal or in the high school kids, and obviously, I expect that to kind of even be better at least from the transfer portal standpoint as we go into the summer. But really excited about the kids that we've been bringing in, and Ted has done a tremendous job of running that in terms of the recruiting stuff, and so just it's definitely been a plus, and so definitely excited. But at the same time, we got a lot to worry about right now with the American.
Sorry.
You're fine. That's okay.
You get John Rhys back, healthy back. Kind of talk about the expectations you have for him and just what you're hoping for him going into this season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he has the ability to change the game with his defense and his speed, and dropped a bunt down in practice the other day, and a base hit bunt, and it feels like a blink of an eye he's already on first base. So I mean, there's just a lot of different things that he can bring. Obviously, not playing baseball the last couple of years, just trying to get him back into the swing of things. He spent a lot of time in December just trying to get his body right, and after the beating that he takes, and then just trying to get the baseball legs back, kind of thing. And it's just different. And so he's done a great job, though. I mean, he obviously is. Everyone knows how great of a kid he is, and the energy that he brings, and the practices are louder because he's there, and he just is always bringing the juice, and so that is something that has been, I think, a positive for our team, and he just continues to. You just see it every single day. The more comfortable he gets swinging, the more comfortable he gets on the baseball field. Like, just trying to get that timing back, obviously, which in our game is really, really difficult, and so. But he's a super athlete, so just kind of excited. Excited he's here, but excited to see what he's going to be able to do when games start.
Have you talked to Coach Malzahn? How would the pairing, so to speak, go?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and obviously John Rhys is going to be up here today, and I just ask that everybody just stays away from the football questions. I'll answer that question and then kind of go from there, but let him just be a baseball player and answer all the baseball questions that we need to. and you can ask a million of those, but I just ask that everybody not bring up any football-related questions at all. Gus and I have worked super close together in the last 6 weeks, just coming up with a plan. John Rhys will participate in both spring ball and obviously the baseball season, and so obviously exactly how that is working, it's just kind of a week-to-week thing. Obviously, just trying to figure out their exact schedule with our exact schedule and put the pieces together. But Gus and I have had many conversations about it, how we're going to make it work, how we're going to try to work together on it to make sure that we're doing what's best for our program, what we're doing best for his program, and then obviously most importantly what we're doing best for John Rhys. So, but he will participate. I don't think that there will be a ton of issues with it at all, and we just all have to be very smart, mostly just about keeping him healthy. The rest of it, like getting the work in and doing all that kind of stuff, like I have no doubt in my mind that it will be a clean partnership, and that John Rhys will be able to do everything that he wants to do, with being able to play both sports.
You got to showcase many of your new additions in fall ball. How has Bethesda been integrating playing on the field with the rest of the returning players in spring practice?
Again, I think that just the leadership that we have, just the age and the maturity that guys like Ben McCabe and Tom Josen and Nick Romano and Rudy Gomez and Kyle Kramer, like those guys have really Ben Vespi. Those guys just understand the importance of what the locker room needs to be like, and also understand what their roles are as leaders. And so I think that I'm very pleased with just how quickly the new guys have acclimated, and really I feel like if you ask any of the new players, just kind of at home they feel, and that's just a lot about the culture, but it's mostly about the older guys in the locker room and how welcoming they are. And the crazy thing about COVID is, you got 23-year-olds hanging out with 18-year-olds. It's just a little bit different. There's an age gap there. So, but I think our guys have done a great job of ignoring that and just understanding that we're all here to pull on the same side of the rope, and just to welcome those guys and to get them acclimated and to help them, to answer questions, to push them, to let them know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, not only from our program, but just from a college baseball standpoint. So I think it's definitely sped up the process of some of these new guys, whether they've been transfers or whether they've been freshmen, to understand what the expectations are for us and what we're trying to do and what we need to do in order to attain all the goals we want to.
When Nick Gotti leaves in December, obviously you hire Mike Roth. How did that hire come about? He was extremely successful in the Braves organization. I know he's an alum. Yeah. Just talk about that process and what he brings to your team. Yeah,
obviously really happy for Nick. Obviously I was involved in the whole process, so I was obviously planning for it, knowing that it could have happened. But then I just the only bad thing about it from a timing standpoint is usually that's the holidays or a time with family, and I spend more time on the phone than I did with my family. So, but I just went to work and just tried to find the best guy that I could, and I spread a wide net. And obviously Mike and I have been friends since I got here, just being an alum and being a local guy, and our wives are friends and things like that. So immediately he was on my list, but I went through a thorough search and talked to a ton of people, not only just in terms of the job, but just vetting people and trying to figure out the best for this team and the best moving forward for the program, and obviously just able to talk to Mike, and obviously cares a lot about UCF, cares a lot about this community that he lives here in Orlando his whole life, and Boone High School graduate and whatnot. So just has a lot of love for UCF, a lot of care, and obviously he's had a lot of success developing big leaguers. So just felt like it was a great fit for us to come in and help these guys continue to get better, continue to the foundation that Nick had really built, and really put us in a good shot to win a championship this year. So been really, really excited. It's been a crazy whirlwind for him, just trying to get acclimated, learn the guys, watch a lot of video, trying to put together, obviously taking some of the things that we had already put in place just in terms of throwing programs and stuff, but trying to put his thoughts on it and his spin on things without changing too much for especially this group, just that have been so used to kind of put on this path that they've been working on since August or whatnot. So I think they've done a great job, both the players and Mike, of merging those two things together and putting us in a good spot here for opening day.
You said 1 through 4 is veteran by age.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of your lineup set, or you still feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody. I mean, obviously Tom and Ben and Nick. I mean, have been some of our best hitters the last few years. But Lex Bodecker, obviously a returner who hit over 300 last year as a freshman. But we got some transfers like Corey Robinson, who came in from the University of Florida, that had probably the best fall of all of our guys. That obviously is in the mix. And Andrew Brait is back again, another older guy that has been here for a few years and obviously been banged up, but healthy now and done a great job. Drew Froh is a really talented freshman that has really stood out over the course of this. Obviously Andrew Sundin, who's been hurt, has missed all the fall, but is on his way back. I don't know a date, but I do expect him back sooner than later. I hope to have it back full go, maybe before conference starts, and get him a couple weeks. But it's kind of a day-by-day thing. So you have a good group. Greg Pate, another freshman that has really stood out. Matt Cederberg, a transfer, and Brady Shannon, another freshman. So I mean, there's a lot of jobs that are still open. Obviously, John Rhys. So there's a lot of jobs open. But obviously, having your 2, 3, 4 hitters that have hit in that order, in that part of the order, the middle of the order for the last 3 or 4 years, like definitely gives us that age and experience that can really anchor a lineup, and then we can kind of fit around who we feel like is going to be the best to help us win that day.
Coach, what are some things that you guys struggled with last year and improved during the offseason, and are you expecting that from your players this year?
Yeah, man, I think the biggest thing was injuries, and we just got crushed, just had to do a lot of soul searching as the head coach to try to figure out reasons why, and so definitely made some changes internally of trying to figure out, what was going to be the best for our players to put them in the best spot to not allow that to happen again. I think we've done that. I think the players have done a great job of making some changes in terms of some of the things we've implemented to try to make sure that we put them in the best spot to be healthy, and have really spent a lot of time to put themselves in those situations. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing, is win 35 games last year. When you lose, your number one, your number two, your closer before the season even starts, you lose, your shortstop for half the year, your hottest, best player in Romano, the week 3 with the ACL. I mean, you're losing 5 of your best 7 guys, and but hopefully what ends up happening is a guy like Ben Vespi, who really had to step up last year and go from a kind of a swing guy and a big part of our bullpen to our ace, really gain that experience. Guys like Lex Bodecker, who got thrown into the fire last year as a freshman and got all those at-bats and did a great job, are more prepared for that. Even guys on the mound, like Dominic Castellano, Jacob Marlowe, like they got thrown into the fire big time and got really, really huge innings for us, that they're now more prepared this year because of that. And so, in the moment last year, you kind of go through where you feel like this is, like everything's going wrong. But at the end of the day, you figure God has a plan, and hope that was preparing us better for this year than it was maybe for last year, and it just wasn't my timing, but his. So, but excited about this group. We're really healthy, and we're in a good spot, and we just got to continue to do the things to keep it that way, because if we can win 35 games with as many injuries as we did last year, I'm excited to see what we can do this year with a full healthy squad.
How does the pitching staff look heading into this season?
Yeah. Obviously Rudy and Ben, really just being the leaders and being the front end guys, have done a tremendous job. Kyle Kramer at the back end. Najir Victor is a huge transfer from Florida Gulf Coast. It's going to be a big part of this. Zach Bennett, who tomorrow is his 1-year anniversary from Tommy John, is on his way back. He's been throwing bullpens. He should get into some live ABs, live inter squads here this end of this week or early next week, and I'm not sure if he'll be ready for opening day, but it won't be far off of that he'll be able to throw in a live game. Jacob Marlowe again has really made some strides from last year, that experience that he got in the starting. Dom Stagliano, a big transfer, a freshman All-American from Stetson, has been really good for us. Again, Zach Chappell, a transfer from North Florida. And then Cam Leiter obviously is our big freshman, that obviously one of the lighter kids. Al is his uncle, and Jack is his cousin, and Mark is his cousin, who both in the big leagues, and obviously Al, and the family obviously has a rich tradition of baseball. So he has done a tremendous job, really put himself in an opportunity to win a starting job on the weekend. has all the talent in the world, and again, just going to be one of those young guys that just has to learn. But the great thing about that is that you have guys like Rudy and Ben that are showing him the way and teaching him every day how to handle himself, how to have a great routine, how to prepare himself. And as they get to the season, I'm going to have to rely a lot on those guys as well, not only from them pitching, but also making sure that they're making sure that everyone around them is getting better, and that those guys, especially like a guy like Cam, when he's going to have days where he fails or doesn't have great days, and how does he handle that? How does he bounce back? That is going to be a big part of obviously my job, but at the same time the leaders to behind the scenes when the coaches aren't there, making sure that those guys are handling themselves the right way to bounce back.
How do you like your non-conference schedule and how that sets you up?
It's really difficult. Whoever's in charge of scheduling should be in trouble. But it's a good challenge, and I think again it gets us ready for the American. Obviously start with Siena like we always do, which is always a good opening day test, and then having to go to Clemson and play in a regional type atmosphere against a team that's going to be hungry to improve with their new coach, and them not being as good as they probably thought they should be last year, that they're going to be out. You get Georgia Southern, who we take 2 out of 3 from last year. They end up hosting a regional top 16 that's probably going to want to come in here and prove that last year that we went to their place and it was a fluke and they got something to give us back. And then we got Troy and Dartmouth, who are going to be really, really good. I mean, the Sun Belt has been one of the top 3 or 4 conferences in the country the last couple of years. So they're going to be ready to go. And we obviously, they took 2 out of 3 from us at their place a couple of years ago, so we got something to prove for them. And obviously Dartmouth came in here a couple of years ago and took 2 out of 3 from us, and they're always one of the toughest Ivy League teams. And then Maryland, top 15 in the country right now to start the year off. So and they hosted a regional last year. So, and then obviously you got the Florida States and Miami and FAUs and North Florida's, like the typical tough midweek games that all these kids played against each other for the most part. That it just adds a different element to the game. So the schedule's going to be tough, but if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and so we got to go out there and show everybody what we think we're made of, and we do that by going out on Friday night against Siena and just worrying about that, and then wake up the next day and do it again.
You're going to take a late season trip up to Ohio, where you not only get to face Cincinnati, but you get to kind of go home and play Wright State and take on Ohio State as well. What does it mean to you to be able to have that on the schedule this season?
It's an interesting question, and I don't know if I know the answer to that right now. Obviously, in my mind, I guess it's kind of cool just to be able to go back and see a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I'm just so focused on our kids trying to win a championship that haven't put a ton of thought into it. Obviously, when I scheduled it, hey, that'll be cool, and then you wake up the next day and you worry about trying to get better that day of practice. So there might be some feelings that they get closer, but to be honest with you, right now I got so much to worry between now and then that it's just really in the back of my mind.
How much you know about the Big 12 schedule next year? Conference game, you've only been playing what? Not as many. Do you know the conference games, like how many you're going to play and how that's going to look like?
So we're going 13... to play 11 weeks with a bye. So it'll be 10 weeks with a bye in there. So we have 3 non-conference weekends, and then you'll start conference play. Every team will have it because there's an odd number of teams. So there'll be a bye week somewhere in there. So you'll play 10 conference. So two teams you won't play, but then everyone else you will play.
So you'll play 30 conference games.
So 30 conference games, correct. Other than that, I don't know or can't tell you.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody being here today.
Thanks.